Well, hello everyone. Wanted to put together this little video. It's rather a short little lecture, I guess I would say, PowerPoint lecture on the influence of the media on children. Okay, and my focus here primarily is not on teenagers, not on young adults, but really on children in terms of their cognitive skills and their ability to learn what works, what doesn't, and so on. So most of this is pretty much K through kindergarten through sixth grade. I could even say preschool through about sixth grade and maybe even younger here. So let's get started. Really, when we talk about the media's influence on children, a good question to ask is this: what types of media do children rely on? Do children learn from and stuff like that? And I think a lot of people don't realize when you start talking preschool through about sixth grade, and I'm going off a survey that's a little dated. I think it's 2010. It's no longer 2010, but I'm just going with what the research says. And I think that's ultimately what matters. Probably the biggest way that children take in information is television. I know some people have argued that iPads and video games, and that may be changing. But once again, I don't want to go off what just people's opinions are. I'd rather go off surveyed research. And so that's what I'm sharing with you. And I guarantee you, if I find some more updated survey research that I'm comfortable with, I'll change the stats on this. But I think for a lot of kids, even today, television is a way of keeping children entertained in different ways. Beyond that, Netflix, rate second, CDs, DVDs. I really put in the DVDs and CDs first, as parents will go and buy these as sort of babysitters, or the CDs can be audio. Someone mentioned that a lot of that stuff is now found on Netflix, so I thought it's safe to go ahead and add that in. Third, as far as this is ranked the most to the least, video games and computer games. We don't see as much of that, at least in this original survey, with preschoolers, kindergartners, and children. We do see it in older children and teenagers, which takes us to the last one, the internet. But once again, this survey looks at media as a way of getting information out, learning, basically with children preschool through about sixth grade, and it's a little dated, so I still want to use it. Excuse me. The big question is this: what is the best way to learn? Okay, what is the best way to learn? You have the old style method of reading, which is to be given a book and to have a child read a book as they want. Or you have television, which can be very, very colorful, very, very audio plus video and all of that. When you ask yourself, which is the better way to cognitively learn, and really it's no contest, it's still reading. Reading is an active way of learning. It really, truly is an active way of learning. You read the material, you have to use your imagination of what you're reading. A lot of times you have pictures for little children's books and things like that, but there's a little bit more to it than that. Television is more passive. It's given to you rather than you actively take it in. And in that regard, it's not all the greatest for learning. It's not to say that all television is bad. In fact, there's a lot of television shows that have been around for some time and are very, very good. They do teach different concepts. So as you look at this slide, let me go ahead and share some, starting down in the bottom left-hand corner with Sesame Street. Now, that was something I grew up with, and Sesame Street is still on on public television, Ozarks Public Television, and things like that. In times gone by, Sesame Street actually started each show with the same thing. They said today's show is, is sponsored by a letter and a number. All right, so they would say today's show is sponsored by the letter A and the number 5. And so you would see that come up during the 30-minute segment a handful of times, where they would be referring to A is for apple and things like that as a way to get children to learn. And then they would focus on numbers and other facets as well. To the right of that, down at the bottom, is Dora the Explorer and Diego. Dora the Explorer and Diego, one of the things they really tried to do was teach Spanish. Okay, they would very gently introduce Spanish words and terms to children, but they were also opportunities to turn around and go through adventures. You would see Dora or Diego or the Boots, the monkey in between the two, uh, going and exploring things and so on. And if you ever watch one of these episodes, what was very fascinating about these shows is that the character would ask the viewer, which a lot of times was a small child, which should we go? And you would see a map, and you could go this way, or you could go that way, and there would be a moment of silence on the in the television show, in the hopes that the child watching would respond out loud. And then you would hear the character say, "That's right, we should do this." It was a way to get children involved. It didn't always work very well because it wasn't truly interactive, but it was the first step at it. And for some small children, it did tend to work. Now, right above that is a show, above Dora and Diego and Boots, is a show called The Backyardigans. My children actually watch this. The Backyardigans uses, as you see there, 5 different characters that really are not a particular race or nationality. I mean, you have a moose, you have a penguin, but and even characters I don't even know what they are for sure. But the whole premise of the show was that these uh, children, these characters, played in their backyard. They went through lots and lots of adventures, and they never turned around and left their backyard. So the show was all about imagination, and I think that really made for a good show. You will see there also Bob the Builder. Bob the Builder was a wonderful character that built things, and his tools were actually alive and animated, and so he was always very helpful, and he would learn to build things. And I think that kind of stuff lends itself to boys and girls both who might want to turn around and ultimately do that. And then the final show you see there is called Little Einsteins. Little Einsteins is still on, I understand, on the Disney Channel for small children, and it's all about the arts. You have 4 characters there, two girls and 2 boys, and basically what you had was one was a dancer, one was a musician, one was a maestro, and I think the other was I'm not even sure, to be honest. I'm embarrassed. I don't remember. But basically, it was all about the arts. And maybe the last character was an artist. And they would always get into what they called Rocket, their spaceship, and they would fly off to different adventures. What was fascinating about Little Einsteins was not only did it introduce the arts, music and art and painting, but there was never any violence whatsoever in these episodes. There was never any shooting. There was never any fights of any kind. There was zero violence in the show. And they made a pretty decent show for preschool children to enjoy in that regard. So these are some examples of television that is cognitive learning. It still doesn't replace reading, but it does have its place, and some things can be of value, and we want to keep that in mind. All right, folks, keep up the great work. Take care.